Hello and welcome to another slightly different episode of BlokeBusters. And when I say slightly different, I mean that this isn't an episode of the BlokeBusters podcast. Basically, myself and Brian went on to the PodBros Promotion podcast to talk about what our show has been up to, why we have been doing what we've been doing, where we might like to see it go in the future. And that went out about a month ago, and I figured it was about time that you guys heard it if you haven't already. So, now you get to sit back, relax, and enjoy our BlokeBusters guest spot on the PodBros Promotion podcast.
You are listening to a PodBros exclusive. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of PodBros Promotions. It's been a little bit. We are coming back. Like I said, I promised from episode 100 that we would be back and talking to those on the network and giving you guys an update about where they've been. So in today's episode, I am talking with Paul and Brian from the BlokeBusters podcast. Guys, how's it going?
Going very well.
I will echo my partner's sentiments, and yes, it is going very well.
I gotta say, it seems to be going very well for you guys. I've been paying attention. You've branched out. You're not just doing your usual show. You're doing a couple other things as well on top of it all. And I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, how that all got started and where it's going to go in the future. But just in general, for those listening, if they've not listened to the previous episode with Paul on it, can you guys tell me a little bit more about your show?
Well, I think Brian should lead this one since I was on the last one.
Okay, sure. So just generally, we are just, long form film review. Originally, we started talking about the biggest, cinematic blockbusters out there. But then as lives change and stuff, we kind of had to adapt and kind of rethink and retool and kind of provide content in a way that kind of fit both of our lifestyles. And that's kind of where some of that branching out you talked about kind of came from. Mm-hmm. And we've just been having a really fun time doing it. We just love it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So originally you were doing, like you said, some blockbuster films, talking about some what now could be considered some classics, but you've also gone along the branches of some Netflix films as well. I think one of the things that I really like about your show is the fact that you don't exclude anything. I know more recently there's been kind of some hoopla around some film festivals not allowing Netflix movies because of, for whatever reasons. But you guys don't discriminate. You pick from a little bit of everywhere, right?
Yeah.
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 So let Paul take that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't see the point of excluding some just because some people think that, oh, yeah, Netflix did it. Netflix isn't a traditional film studio, so it's not a film. Well, that's not the case. Anything that is feature length, shall we say, can be called a film. So if we are the ones that just kind of sit there, we watch him, and then we decide, well, is it good or is it not? And I guess probably film festivals do try and still have that little bit of a snob factor where they're like, well, we're a little bit above your Netflix thing. We want the indie film. Whereas I would actually argue that Netflix is kind of becoming indie in inverted commas, since obviously they have a little bit more money to throw around movie studio at this point.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy to see what Netflix has been able to do. Brian, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, obviously streaming is where everyone's at right now. And, to exclude that content, Sandler deals with the devil beside. There's, that's another whole thing there. But yeah, I mean, we're in the golden age right now of television and great original content, and why not include those things? I mean, quite frankly, they're turning out a lot better than what the sequels and reboots that we're seeing in the theaters are. So
yeah,
why not give them some love?
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on that, especially with some of the stinkers that have been produced more recently and time being, because people feel like, oh, you guys love this film franchise from the past. Well, we're going to stick with it, and we hope that you're going to enjoy this, and things end up bombing. I mean, some of it's successful. That's just the way it goes, but other times you think, for instance, like, look at this just recently, Baywatch, the Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Zac Efron. You think it's going to be a decent hit, and it bombed already in the first weekend.
Yeah.
I still say I'm looking forward to hate watching that, but
based solely on the trailers, I think that, The Rock knows exactly what he's doing, and Zac Efron seems to me to be someone that's kind of rolling with it and might actually be kind of fun to watch, but it is a film version of Baywatch made now that doesn't really work, I think, like as an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just got to be better than Baywatch Nights, right? Does anyone remember Baywatch Nights?
Oh man, if you were gonna tell me that in my podcasting career there would be a Baywatch Nights reference being made, I wouldn't believe you.
Well, I'm happy to prove you wrong.
Absolutely wonderful. No, you also kind of joked about Adam Sandler, but I think those are some of your best episodes, this love-hate relationship with Adam Sandler and his movies.
Yeah.
So what started that? What started this Adam Sandler review?
Well,
Go ahead, Paul.
He came out with The Ridiculous Six. We kind of had to cover that. I mean, it was so bad. And from that, we just kind of realized that either we're going to cover it ourselves, or a podcast that we have actually both guested on a few times, and I stole their episode of for the Sandy Wexler one that we put out. Like, we knew they would cover it too, and they always have me on it at the very least because they like to torture me with this stuff. So,
and I'm always brought in on the Sandler flicks, so I got to thank them for that.
But yeah, like it. I mean, you can't, as much as you say, well, it's your podcast, you can cherry pick. It's like, if you want a podcast that is just people talking about films they love the entire time, you're gonna get bored. Just not. It's not good to always be like, "What did you think? I thought it was fantastic. Me too." The end.
Right.
Like, just where's the entertainment?
Yeah. Some of as far as like some of our best film going experiences go, they don't always make for the best recording. I mean, we still always have fun doing it. I can only speak for myself, but like, when we're just gushing over Pacific Rim or something, it's good. We love it, but when there's a little bit of push and shove and a little bit of turmoil, I think it makes for better listening. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I would say the best episodes are either ones where we were surprised, or we liked it way more than we thought we would, or we hated it. And because a lot of the time, like Marvel, for instance, it's always fun to talk about Marvel, and we probably always will. But pretty much every Marvel film that comes out, we've enjoyed about the same amount.
Yeah.
And it's starting to turn into what Marvel films are turning into, which is, it's pretty much the same thing each time. So I think like we're really looking for slightly different things, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you there. I actually did a panel at a it's called PenguinCon, and we talked about the Marvel movie franchise and wondering if has been ruining Hollywood just because of what they've been doing and being so successful at. But that is one of the things that you see. And I made mention about it, how you have the Marvel movie trailer formula, and it's basically line all the Marvel movie trailers up and it plays out the same. And yet people still enjoy going and they still enjoy watching, myself included. You know, I'm a huge comic book fan, so there's no surprise there. But really, it's the same movie over and over and over again. And you got to think that's going to get tiresome soon.
Well, maybe one day they'll release the Budapest film, and then we'll actually get something really cool rather than just same old, same old.
Yeah.
Although I'm cautiously optimistic for Thor Ragnarok. It does at least look a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for a Thor movie, which, you know, gives me pause, but I am really excited for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I hear you. After the second Thor, I wasn't too happy with the way the franchise was going. I didn't think it was bad. It really. I was kind of disappointed. I was expecting more, and I feel Ragnarok is going to bring that more.
Yeah. I heard about the whole he's a friend from work without ever actually seeing it and without knowing who he was referring to. So I genuinely thought they somehow had brought in the little bits that they did where Thor explaining why he wasn't in Age of Ultron and he actually went and got a job.
Yes.
Working with that Australian guy.
I like that better. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was great. Those little film segment things that they did, those were funny. I enjoyed those. Showed that Thor can also be a comedic character as well. So yeah, no, those were great. But getting back into your show and everything that you guys have been doing, you have your regular episodes that you've put out. But then you started branching out into different areas, like we previously mentioned. One of those were your Film for Thought series. And can you go into a little bit more explanation of that?
Sure. I think Brian should lead that one because it was kind of his general idea.
I was. Thank you, Paul, because I was trying to remember. Actually, was it mine or yours? Because things kind of gel together after a little while. But it just kind of stemmed from we have these conversations, and kind of just stemmed from the idea of us podcasting together to begin with. This is something we love doing, is just talking about movies. Why not record it? If anyone else out there enjoys it, so be it. But in the times when, there isn't a blockbuster that we want to see or nothing that's really getting our attention, let's talk about those things in film that spark our interest, ranging from character actors to movie etiquette to, theater etiquette or, concessions or just set design, anything we want to talk about for half an hour. And that's kind of where Film for Thought stemmed from.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and we need to get back to that. I know it's been a minute since we've done one of those.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say what seemed to spawn from that was your French fried episodes. Mm-hmm. So, Paul, can you talk a little bit more about that?
I can. Again, that was actually Brian's kind of. He had the seed idea for it, but
okay.
The basic idea was that there are so many film franchises, obviously Marvel included, but to be fair, Marvel is still killing it, that have just been going on so long.
Yeah.
And every time one comes out, like, I guess, Transformers, Fast and the Furious at this point, it's more of the same. And there's hardly ever any change. And it's like, okay, so this is going to happen in the first act. This is going to happen in the second act. The killer's going to be the guy we thought it wasn't in the first act, but oh no, it is him again. Like, it's the same, and often they go on way too long. They should have stopped at 2, and now they're on 10. So we were like, why not actually bring that up and talk about it? And we now just watch the latest entry in a franchise, which has to be 4 or more for us to consider it a franchise. And if we haven't seen any of the previous films, then we haven't seen any of the previous films. We just got to go into it and judge it pretty much entirely on that one entry. And it's been fun and difficult at the same time.
Oh, yeah, difficult. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Do either of you guys have a favorite French fry that you've done so far? And I don't mean favorite as in, oh, you really love the movie, but just in general, like, oh, you know, it was so bad it was my favorite, or maybe there was one that you're like, you know what, that's pleasantly surprising.
I think I got to go with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that sparked a couple of interesting conversations there, and I think I might even have to go with Ernest in the Army, just because of how bad that was. It was
that hurt. That hurt. That stung. I had to do that in 10-minute increments on YouTube, and thank God for the 10 increments, because it gave you like 5 seconds of palate cleanser to, okay, I can do 10 more minutes. I can do 10 more.
Yeah.
And it was rough. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, VR main man.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the few times I ever actually just inserted audio from what it was we were talking about, because like you just had to hear it. Like it was just that bad.
Yeah.
And we both liked previous Ernest films, and I didn't know. I think Ernest in the Army is number 8, number 9.
I think 9. Yeah, I think it was number 9.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it should have stopped at like 5 at most.
Was that his last one as Ernest? Like the
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he made that one. He recorded the line for Toy Story 2, and then he died shortly after.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, yeah. R.I.P. Jim Varney.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think one of them that had me cracking up that you guys did was the Jason franchise as well, with Jason X. And man, what a crazy movie to see Jason in space.
Holy shit. How much coke was on that writing room table?
Yeah, I mean, that one was genuinely, like, I think that was the most fun to watch out of all the ones we've done.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so absurd. You just kind of had to lean into it.
Yes, yes, that's exactly it. You're not expecting much from it when you're like, hey, the premise is this. And I remember, honestly, being back when did that, I want to say like 2003-ish when it came out, around that time. I remember being on some internet forums and hearing about it and trying to psych myself up because it was another Jason movie, but then being like, this is going to be absolutely terrible. And I know it came out kind of around the same time as Jason versus Freddy. I think before it. And I couldn't believe where it went, but it was ridiculous enough that you had some fun watching it.
Yeah, and actually bringing up Jason versus Freddy, the reason we didn't do that is that's a cross-franchise thing, and we didn't want to do that. We
Very strict rules here. Yes.
Yeah, very strict, completely kind of pointless rules. Because really, we could do any of these films, just be look how bad it is, but we wanted to prove a point, as it were.
Oh yeah.
I would just like to have a half-decent film for the next French ride. That's all I'm asking. Not even decent. Just, I don't know, somewhere on the register of a plot and interesting characters.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, after the last one, we put out the Twitter poll, and it was either going to be Halloween Resurrection or Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh.
And Halloween Resurrection won.
Ooh.
So
I was so rooting for Pirates.
Oh man. Now, have you guys seen the newest Pirates yet?
Nope.
Is it actually out now?
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't out for a little bit longer. Oh, okay. I have not seen it. I don't know when I will. Probably when it hits Netflix at this point, but I don't feel the need to go and see it immediately.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you there. I've had friends who saw it, and they said it was better than the last one, but it still didn't compare to the originals. So on top of that, though, you guys you've done these other 2 shows, but you've started another one with Film Spotlight. And in this series, you guys actually have special guests come on. And can you explain a little bit more about the concept of this show?
Sure.
This was Paul's baby, so go right ahead.
Yeah, and we had a few guests on here and there, just people we knew either through podcasting or just somehow we were able to grab someone. And I always thought, well, it's fun to have guests on, but when you're having someone on specifically to talk about a film, like, it really is just another viewpoint. That's all it is. Whereas if you were to get someone to come on and have them choose a film they like and the film they don't, you're kind of getting to know more about the person. And then we're also able to ask questions. We're kind of the audience for that. And I just thought it would be a hell of a lot of fun. And turns out I was right. It happens every now and again.
Yeah, what I love about it is that it's like raw. There's really no prep you can do for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of joke like during it, like, yeah, we kind of thought of this because the guest has to do all the work, which, you know, probably halfway true, but because they have to do all the prep work, they have to know their 2 movies and their talking points, but we just get to react. But yeah, I love that just kind of natural, spontaneity of the recording there.
Yeah.
And
I thought with this one, I thought, wow, what a cool idea, what a cool concept. And not only that, you also basically, you let the guests promote themselves as well. So it's a give and take. They're doing the prep and you guys get to react to it. But, a lot of these guests that have come on, some of them are other podcasters on the network, and some of them we've met in podcast groups and whatnot. So it's really cool to see that.
yeah, it's been great. I mean, yeah, obviously there's a really, really good, teeny tiny amount of kind of self-promotion that ends up going that way, because we're like, hey, why don't you come on? Then you can help promote it when you're on there, But but other than that, it's just so great to have all these people that are just willing to do it. I mean, we've had podcasters on. We had someone that agreed to come on. He was actually he's a really, really young film reviewer that is quite popular. His name's Jackson Murphy.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he was 17 and he's done, probably 18 at this point. I don't know his birthday, so I can't give you an exact time of that. But he's just done so much, and it's like, I'm almost 30, Brian's just over 30. It's like, what the hell have we been doing? If this guy's like, he's been on TV, he's done all this stuff, and he was doing basically like 3 weeks of, I'm going on podcasts to promote this thing. So the fact that we were able to get him on, record it, and release it in that, it was just worked out. So it was really cool having him on.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorites so far is we managed to get the voice of Honest Movie Trailers to come on.
Oh, yeah.
I went to his website.
John Bailey. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to his website and just said, hi, yeah, we're a little podcast. Would you want to come on and do this thing? And he went, okay.
Yep. And that's how laid back and awesome he is. Yeah. He's fantastic.
That's really cool too. You've already made mention. You've already gotten some people that are semi-famous in the realm of media around us, whether it be on YouTube or it be. I know the kid from Twitter, and you guys, you joked about your age and what you've done. I'm thinking, here this kid had an accidental beef with Amy Schumer, I think it was, or whatever, making a joke, and it went the wrong way. But, this kid's like, at the time, 15, 16, and he's all over the news. And I'm thinking, man, this kid just, this is his lucky day, because everyone's going to go to his Twitter account, and they're going to be like, who is this kid? And, obviously a lot of it's jealousy from people because he's a young kid, but that's really cool that you're able to get him on there. Now, is there any other shows that you guys have been working on? Any other new concepts, or are you kind of just keeping it as at where it's at right now?
I myself don't have anything in the work, but mostly because I've been really trying to work on either getting people to come on that I'm not willing to say right now, but hopefully will be really cool if it happens.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm now going to be really busy at work because I went from working 12 minutes away, but now that school is out, I work on the main campus of the company I work for, which is 45 minutes away, and I work slightly longer hours, so my day got a lot longer. So I don't have too much extra time now, especially with an 8-month-old, to sit around and brainstorm ideas here. But I'm really enjoying what we have now, so I'm kind of liking it. But can't speak for Brian. You got anything bubbling away?
Well, I'm not going to divulge anything here, but there's a couple things I was thinking of course, that need Paul's approval and stuff, and of course with his schedule. So
right. Yeah.
Damn breeders.
If it weren't so much fun, it wouldn't happen.
I will drink to that.
Now, we just talked about that, but you're at what 86 episodes on your regular show, and a handful with each one of the other shows that you do. Has there ever been any thoughts about you guys saying, you know what, let's retire one of these? Or are you just like, no, we're going to keep on going, like kind of what we do with some of our shows? Now we'll just go when we go.
Well, I'll just answer for myself here, and then we'll get whatever you think there, Paul. But I feel no need right now to end any of the little tangents we've started. If there's one thing Paul and I love, it's tangents. And whether that's in discussion or in podcast sub-genres. We may not put one out for a while, but that doesn't mean we're not thinking about it and we don't want to do another one. If there's ever a time when we feel like we're just not getting anything out of that particular type of episode, then maybe that's a discussion, but I don't see that anytime soon. I don't know how Paul feels.
No, I personally think that we've kind of got a good thing right now with just 3 different things that we do, and it's also, I think it's nice because it helps it not be too stale. It's not just film review after film review after film review.
Yeah.
Like typical film review. Obviously, French Fried is still a film review, but it's a different form of that. And also, like with us guesting on other podcasts and things like that, I think it's a nice kind of like blend of different things for us to do. Also, it helps if we're able to record 2 things at once. Mm-hmm. Then it gives me a little bit of a buffer I can edit and then get them out one week and then another week, and so it gives us more time to be able to wait and see if something else has come up or anything like that we can then talk about next time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, do you guys like have a set schedule of when you record, or is it basically kind of like with Paul, it's a wait and see? I mean, I have kids as well, so there's not really any set time for me. Only Thursday nights with the wrestling podcast is kind of the only set time that I have. Other than that, it's all by ear. What about you guys?
Obviously my schedule's a little bit more rigid than Brian's is.
You don't know what hour of any RPG I'm in, so okay, I'm very busy.
Yes, very true. But the way that I kind of come to a bit of a compromise with my wife, which is, number one, we're not doing it every Sunday. So that's because you kind of put a foot down there. It's like, no, you're not going to do it every Sunday. But I think what we try and do is actually meet up in person every 2 or 3 weeks, something along those lines, if possible. Obviously, sometimes I might not be free and then Brian might be visiting family or something like that. So sometimes it doesn't work out. But I mean, I would say, luckily, my sleep schedule and my wife's sleep schedule are fairly different. She'll typically go to sleep at about 9:30, and I go to sleep at about 11:30. So we actually have some time in the evening, if we need to, that we can record over Skype, which we have done several times, and I'm sure you can tell in the episode, but I do try and make sure that it's not too bad audio quality-wise.
Yeah,
and I'm out of town like every 2 to 3 weeks, so that makes Skype very handy as well.
I bet.
Yeah, it can be a scheduling nightmare if we had to do it in person.
Yeah. I could imagine. Speaking of that, how do you guys come up with what movies you're going to review then?
Well, Brian,
it's usually comes in the form of a text from Paul saying, "Hey, you want to do Who Framed Roger Rabbit?" And I'd be like, "Sure," or 30% of the time I'll toss one out there to him or something. We definitely still keep our eyes on the big films of the year, and we did Guardians Volume 2, of course, and but yeah, the other ones we just kind of float around back and forth. We hey, take a look at what's on Netflix, see what interests you, and we'll get it narrowed down to a couple and kind of decide from there.
Sweet.
Yeah, and the basic idea once my daughter was born was going to try and be, say, a new one every month or so, like something out in the cinema, and then a Netflix one that has been added to Netflix in the previous month. That's kind of gone somewhat out the window at this point, but we've been able to do more of our other series, which I think has kind of made up for that. We haven't exactly gone out and said, hey, we've changed the format, but it's just kind of a natural progression based on what's available, what we think will be fun to do or fun to talk about, or just, I mean, sometimes it's been, we actually don't know if it's going to be that interesting to other people. We would just quite like to talk about it. And I think that An American Tale, for instance, I assumed when I said that, I was like, you know what, that was actually something fun from my childhood that I think would be really interesting to talk about with someone else that likes film, and like, especially from that era. Turns out politically it actually had a little bit of a modern bias, but I didn't think it would be one of our most popular episodes, but I still really love how it came out, and I thought it was just a really cool conversation piece, and hopefully people will just listen to it over time and maybe think, oh, that's actually a really cool episode they did.
Yeah.
If I can pony on that a little bit, I felt exactly the same way. And Paul and I actually haven't had this conversation, but when he suggested that, I'm like, oh, no one's going to download this. But it's a conversation that I want to have.
Yeah.
Or it'll have very few downloads, but like, coming back around a little full circle to, what I said, like, we just wanted to have conversations about film and record them. And that's what that was. And we had a hell of a time talking about it. And like I said, if anyone enjoys that, that's awesome. But that's just, we kind of pick stuff for us.
Yeah.
And if other people like it, that's great.
Yeah. No, when I was uploading it onto the PodBros network, I saw that episode and I'm like, An American Tale? Am I reading this right? I was like, was this redone and put in theaters recently? And I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm reading your description.
Nope.
I start laughing. I'm like, I gotta listen to this one, man. It's been some time since I've heard that. I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool what you guys do. And
yeah, thank you.
Speaking of that, you guys have come up with your own way of rating these movies. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Oh, wait. Okay, who gets to do this? Oh, boy.
Technically you did it on the latest episode that will come out very soon, so I guess
you're calling dibs? Okay, go for it.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it kind of stemmed a little bit from there's a TV show called QI that I really liked. It's a UK show. Stephen Fry was the host. He's since stepped down, but it's a lot of fun, and you can win that show with negative points because you get points taken away for boring answers. And I always thought, well, that's kind of an interesting ratings point system that they do. And then when we were coming up with the idea for the podcast, we didn't want it to be out of 5 or specifically out of 10, because what happens if you have an out of 5 and out of 10 is your films are always going to be, oh, it was a 3 out of 5 or a 6 out of 10. And you always end up with kind of middle of the road scores unless you really, really liked it or really, really hated it. And that's kind of boring and doesn't really help. So we came up with a more objective
and convoluted and intricate.
Yeah. So it's more, rather than giving it stars because of how much we liked it, we're taking away points for how many things we find wrong with it. And as someone else pointed out to me, it's a very negative review system, and yes, it is. And
I'm a very cynical, bitter person. What do you want?
Exactly. But yeah, it'll start off with, like, say, a minus 0.2 is a rating we've given to a few films because we really like it. We found maybe we didn't like a casting choice, but that was it. Like, you can't take much away. And then the further down you go, it goes from like minus 0.2, minus 0.3 to minus 1, minus 2, minus 3.5. Like it really is typically up to minus 10. There have been a couple of films that have broken that.
A couple that have broken the scale.
Yes, I think Brian's absolute favorite film of all time being Mordecai.
Oh, don't say that word around. Do not even bring that name up. Negative. I think I rated that one negative infinity, which I'm not even sure is a thing, but I made it a thing because it deserved it.
Yeah. So I'm
95-minute mustache joke.
And kind of
that movie.
I'm kind of hoping we find a film that you hate more than Mordecai.
I don't think we can. I mean, Sandy Wexler was close. Sandy got close.
But you'll have to go for the old, like, schoolboy or negative infinity plus 1.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I think Dread 3D was. I think I had I don't know. I know some people really love that movie, and I was not one of those.
Yeah, it just didn't work for you, huh?
Didn't work for me. I think I was like at a minus 9 or minus 10 or
minus
12.
You were minus 13
for 13. Yes, and then we had to revamp it. Yes, because they had an open-ended scale, and then we had to kind of break it off at minus 10. Yeah.
Oh man.
It was. It's always really fun for me to think about the path we've taken with it, because like I'm a big fan of never getting rid of your old episodes. I mean, I know a lot of people, my wife included, when they find a new podcast, they're like, okay, episode 1, go.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a film review podcast, I think people are definitely more pick and choose based on if they've already seen the film. Do they?
Yeah.
Especially if a podcast does spoilers. I feel like it's there in case anyone ever wants to listen to it, and if they do brave our back catalogue, they'll be able to see our natural progression into what we are now. So, I mean, I understand some people are like, oh no, I hate that old episode. I'm just going to get rid of it and only put the best forward. But yeah, even if we end up losing one potential listener because they started episode 1 and said, oh, that's not for me, it's like so many other people are going to go, oh, here's episode 86. I'll listen to that one first and then go.
Right, so. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I think the more and more podcasts become popular with people, the more and more people are going to understand that it'll be very rare you'll have a podcast series where the first episode will sound, just even quality-wise, production-wise, as good as their latest episode. just like with anything, it's a learning process, and we learn of some stuff that we can do, stuff that makes it sound a little bit better. And I think more and more people are getting to understand that a little bit more now.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to seeing what happened to podcasts in the next 5 years, because I think obviously you've got really, really popular podcasts like Serial and S-Town was another one from This American Life, and
Crooked Media podcasts.
Yeah, that Nerdist as well. People coming in because of Chris Hardwick and like The Walking Dead watchers, stuff like that. So I think that with more people doing that, obviously it's then going to mean that a lot of people are only going to listen to the ones that they've heard of, but you will get more people trickling into the other ones, and hey, we're in there too.
Right,
but yeah, I think the podcasts are going to become like really a really cool thing that almost everyone is going to end up like, oh, I have a podcast that I listen to on my morning commute or something like that. I feel like over time it's going to be even like the old radio broadcast where everyone would sit around the radio because there was no TV at that point and listen to it. But now everyone has a phone with music on it. Like, hey, maybe people really start to understand, oh, there's more stuff here. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. And I hear you there, Paul, because that's the one thing where it's a blessing and a curse when you have famous people saying, you know what, I'm going to do a podcast. Because you go on these forums like on Reddit and you see people say, oh, what podcasts do you listen to? And I think some of the ones that crack me up are like, what are some of the smaller podcasts that you listen to, or the lesser known? And it will still be the same popular podcasts that you see on these regular forums. And in a sense, it's like, this is great because it's helping people understand, that there's this other entertainment medium out there, and that you can download it to your phone and you can play it in your car, and you don't have to listen to morning radio or anything like that. You can listen to something that you enjoy. But we also have to compete with those popular artists, those popular celebrities that do have their own podcast. And there'll be a handful of people that are trickling out of there, but you're hoping for more than that. And I hope as they get bigger and more popular in the future, more and more people are going to seek out stuff outside of just, these popular people. I'm really going to be interested into what happens when, radio is begging and pleading for advertising and people to listen to it. And if they will more and more get into podcasting. I have my own thoughts on that, but I think we could do a whole episode on, just making predictions for podcasting in the future. But speaking of the future, what do you guys have in store for the future? A little bit of the same thing of what you're doing?
Well, let's see. Well, I didn't want to jump on Paul. I thought Paul was going to jump in there. As far as I can tell, I'm really happy with the direction we're heading right now, and I'm quite content to let it evolve naturally. And if we have another show idea, so be it. If we can, so be it. The important thing is that we keep discussing film and media in a way that we love and still enjoy, and that hopefully other people enjoy. Yeah. So whatever way that manifests itself, I'm happy to keep doing it.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it definitely gonna really just be, does it keep fitting into our schedule? Do we keep having the chance to watch some of the stuff? I mean, for, like in the previous several months, there's been much less of, blockbuster reviews or just something that's been out in the cinema because, well, I don't get the chance to go out to the cinema as much as I used to be able to. But that has meant that we've been able to do, say, like An American Tale, like we mentioned, or even we did a series of Unfortunate Events, which I really enjoyed watching and I love talking about.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like, okay, well, I can't go out to the cinema, but I can see some more really good stuff that's coming out through streaming or something like that, or we can talk with this other stuff. And I don't know if anything is going to pop up in the next year that will be, oh, that's a bit of a game changer. Why don't we try that? But I'm sure if something comes up, we'll give it a go, see what happens, and then move on from there.
Yeah, I would like us to see us do more things like a series of unfortunate events, or we did a 2-parter on Black Mirror. More of that, just episodic, like streaming television, because really the superb writing is there right now. So I mean, the high content, high quality content is there for the taking, and if we can, find something that we're both keen on discussing, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I hear you guys, and I think what you guys are doing is amazing and fun, and you bring to the film review genre and podcasting something totally different than some of the others that are out there. I enjoy listening to your show compared to others. I used to be a huge movie buff. Paul, I'm kind of in the same boat as you now. With a family, I find it harder and harder to go out to the cinema and try to watch, some of these blockbuster movies, or heck, even something smaller. I'm lucky if I can watch a Marvel movie in the theaters. So, when I see a trailer for something out there that's, maybe considered a little bit more independent, I know I'm going to have to wait for it to come out on Netflix or Amazon for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, oh, yeah, it's sad that we couldn't do that, but in another way that kind of makes us work harder to be like, okay, well, we didn't do that, but what can we do now? There must be something else out there which really does help with us going, okay, so they released this on Netflix, but what about this thing that was on Amazon? Like, we're actually looking in the avenues that a lot of people don't look to, and I think that does help us somewhat.
Yeah.
Because we aren't just doing the same episode that everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's for sure too, because like you said, I mean, it's almost like you have to, in a sense, with the blockbuster films, but everyone's doing the same thing. So you can really go to one of any number of film reviews and you're almost guaranteed to see them reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's like your bread and butter, because, it's what brings people into seeing you and gives you a better chance of being seen, but also being able to pick and choose and do stuff that is available, like on Netflix, for a lot of people that don't have the time to go to the theater. I think that's a smart move as well. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Can you guys tell the audience listening where they can find you at besides the PodBros Network?
I feel like Brian should cover this one because I do it in every episode.
Paul, you have this done, and I'm going to just totally muck this up. So
I know that's kind of what I want to hear you do it.
Oh, you are such a cruel man. And you just want. Some men just want to watch the world burn. How about this, Paul? You'll like this. You can find us at BlokeBusters on Twitter. And you can find everything else we do from there. We're on Instagram at BlokeBusters, I believe.
Yeah.
Or just, BlokeBusters. Website, BlokeBusters. Help me out with this one, Paul.
.webs.com.
.webs.com. Thank you.
Yeah, because we're not, we're too cheap to just buy the .com, so we're still...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But, Twitter's where we do most of our interaction, and... we're happy to direct you from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule to come on here, talk a little bit about what you guys have been up to. It's been a while. I'm glad we've been able to do this update episode. Glad to continue to do the PodBros Promotions, because it's something that I dearly and truly love. And I love the fact that on our network, we can have that friendliness that goes around. And I also am a big fan of the beginning of your shows when you talk about it and you name drop some of the shows that are on the network as well. One I actually was kind of laughing at because of the name change on this. This used to be the Guy Huddle, but now it's PodBros Promotions. That's what it changed to. So every once in a blue moon, when I'd hear you say shows like the Guy Huddle, I have to start laughing.
Not anymore.
Well, to be fair, this show is very much like the Guy Huddle. So there you go.
Exactly. So. I'm not offended whatsoever. It just I'm laughing at it. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you staying with the network for as long as you've been on. You're pretty much almost one of the originals when it comes to shows. Like taking a look at some of the shows that are on the network. I mean, shoot, it's been a while. You guys have kind of been on almost right in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't even remember which way. I don't know if I said something to you or if you ended up following us and then mentioning something to us. I genuinely don't remember. I just remember it being like, oh, this sounds cool. Why don't we join the network? And it's just been, wow, it's part of a very big network.
And Hardwood wouldn't answer our calls, so yeah.
Yeah. Bastard.
So, yeah, he's a piece of crap, so yeah, deal with him. All right.
Well, no, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you continue to keep doing what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
We'll try.
Thank you so much for having us on and allowing us to be part of this.
Oh, most definitely. All right, guys, you heard it here first. That was your update with the BlokeBusters. Check them out. Just go to podbros.com. Paul and Brian, thank you once again for coming on. Thank you guys for listening. Please be sure to rate us 5 stars on iTunes and shop using our Amazon link. That helps us out a lot. But most importantly, if you really love what we do and you want to keep the lights on, go to patreon.com/podbros. We got some levels over there. We truly appreciate your donation. Okay, I'm done shilling. That's enough. I'm John. You have been listening to another episode of PodBros Promotions. Thank you for stopping by. If you enjoyed listening to the intro and outro music, please be sure to check out The Second Guest on Facebook at facebook.com/thesecondguestrocks or at musicpage.com/thesecondguest.